This gaming PC just came to the shop because after our customer upgraded their GPU, they're getting no display out, so let's figure out what's going on. Well, the first thing that caught my attention is this red LED down here, which is a debug LED that keeps cycling between the CPU and DRAM, and that's kind of where it hangs, which is usually an indication of faulty memory or an invalid configuration. And because the RAM is installed in slots 1 and 3, which is not the primary configuration for this motherboard, let's go ahead and swap that to slots 2 and 4. And although that sometimes will work, we're still getting the exact same LED and no display. So what gives? Because the odd thing is, even if I pull out the GPU, we still get the exact same error every single time. For those wondering about the CMOS battery, well, don't worry about that. I actually used this jumper down here to clear the CMOS. It didn't make any difference. And also going down to like 1 stick of memory also doesn't make a difference. You still get the exact same error. Neither did changing to my known good testing memory make any difference. So because this LED keeps cycling between the DRAM and CPU, I think that's restarting in that process. But likely what's going on here is that we may have an issue with the CPU's memory controller, which we can verify by pulling off the CPU cooler and pulling out the CPU and install a spare testing CPU, which after powering up, wouldn't you know it, actually got past the DRAM LED and gave us a display out. And just to make sure it wasn't like not seated properly, let's go ahead and reseat the CPU, lower down the retention mechanism, turn on the PC to see that we're still on the exact same error. So it looks like this Ryzen 5 5600 is completely unfunctional, which is why our customer actually brought in a brand new Ryzen 7 for us to go ahead and install. Because they kind of suspected that was what was going on, so let's get this swapped out. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention, they also brought in this extra cooler, so we're gonna get that installed to keep this thing nice and cool. Now by taking this brand new 5800 XT that our customer brought in, we can go ahead and lower that into place, lower down the retention mechanism, and go ahead and mount our brand new cooler with some fresh thermal paste. Now that everything is installed, we can go ahead and turn it on to see that the system fires right up in the windows, but everything is massive. And that's because we changed GPUs, so we need to go ahead and install the latest GPU drivers from the NVIDIA app, and we're gonna actually use a custom installation this time and a clean installation to remove any kind of old graphics drivers that may have been associated with the old GPU. With the GPU driver installed, we are now good to go with this system, but I still think it's kind of crazy that this CPU actually caused the memory error that we are getting down there with the debug LEDs. But it does make sense because what's going on there was we were likely just getting a memory controller fault from the CPU itself,